Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Milford's Mayor, Ben Blake. Welcome to historic City Hall. Thank you to our state legislative delegation for joining us here today. State Senator James Maroney, State Representative Kim Rose, State Representative Charlie Ferraro, State Representative Kathy Kennedy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pride, it is with great pleasure, it is with great enthusiasm that I announce that the City of Milford has met all of the requirements for a moratorium under 8-30G of the Connecticut General Statutes. This is a huge win for the City of Milford. No longer will we be subject to the harsh elements of the Affordable Housing Act. This moratorium means that control of our planning and development is returned back to the city, exclusive control. It allows us to push back on overdevelopment, and it stops predatory development. And ladies and gentlemen, this was a team effort through and through. So many people to thank, but please believe me when I tell you that we did an exhaustive canvass identifying all housing units across the city in order to prepare, to document, and to submit the Certificate of Affordable Housing Project Completion to the state. And I do want to recognize our local leaders, including our Department of Planning and Land Use, Director and his whole staff, Joe Griffith, Julie Nash in the Community Development Office, and John Burcham and his entire legal team in our City Attorney's Office for all the good work that they did securing the moratorium. I also want to recognize our extraordinary legislative delegation for their lobbying, for their advocacy to bring improvements to the Affordable Housing Act in the state of Connecticut. And I do want to highlight a couple of individuals, including former State Senator Gail Schlossberg and Representative Kim Rose, who were the chair and vice chair of the Housing Committee that really did bring about changes to correct a lot of the flaws in the Affordable Housing Act that brought greater consistency and fairness. So I will introduce our panel here today, but ladies and gentlemen, the City of Milford is a world-class community with lots of New England charm, where everyone has the opportunity to be successful and to prosper. And with that, I would like to call forward Senator Maroney.
Thank you, Mayor Blake. And while it was a team effort, we need to thank Mayor Blake for his leadership on this issue as well as many other issues affecting our community. We understand as a community that the housing ladder is critical to our success, meaning that we need affordable housing for young families to move in and seniors when they're retired to be able to stay in the community that they love. And this moratorium demonstrates the great lengths that Milford has gone to create that housing ladder, to create the affordable housing for young professionals, working families, and our seniors. We all support the intent of 830G to provide affordable housing for those families who need it to get their start in our community. Unfortunately, as with many well-intended pieces of legislation, this has been taken advantage of, and we have seen many developers who have come in and used this to circumvent our strong local planning. And so with this moratorium, we can return to the planning for the future of our city. I do want to recognize the Dean of our delegation, Representative Kim Rose, who is the longest serving, and I believe the only one here who actually served on planning and zoning before serving as a state representative. And she's been working on this issue for a long time, so I'd like to introduce Representative Kim Rose.
Thank you, Senator Maroney. About 12 years ago, I called Hartford because we were having an affordable crisis then. And I was literally told by the Speaker of the House, Kim, no one will ever change 8-30G. For me, those were fighting words. I sat on planning and zoning as the vice chair, as the senator said. I was offered the opportunity to run for state representative. I took that opportunity. I worked in Hartford for 8 years, tirelessly with Mayor Blake and city officials. This is a perfect example of when your delegation works with your local officials. Affordable housing is critical to the state of Connecticut. As the senator said, we need affordable housing for young families, for seniors to be able to stay here. But in Milford, we were faced with a very unique situation, really not happening anywhere else in the state of Connecticut. Most other towns were not experiencing these predatory developers coming in, tearing down 1 or 2 houses and putting up 15 units in neighborhoods. So it took a lot of work for the senator, and by senator I mean Senator Schlossberg, who was my senator at the time, and the vice chair of the Housing Committee. It took a lot of convincing for the rest of the state to understand what was actually happening in Milford. We literally worked for 8 years on this, and I'm just so happy that we finally were able to reach this moratorium. But I do want to say also that we need to continue to plan for more affordable housing, because as with any law, the moratorium will eventually come to an end, and we need to have some zoning regulations in place so that we can place affordable housing right where it's makes sense, near the highways, on the post road, and not destroying our little neighborhoods. And with that, I'd like to introduce one of my co-workers in Hartford, Representative Charles Ferraro.
Thank you, Representative Rose. And, thank you, Mayor Blake. And thank you, Senator and Kathy. We worked hand in hand under the leadership of Mayor Blake, who held meetings with our delegation and made it clear what the issues were regarding the affordable housing dilemma in Milford. For myself, coming from West Haven and living in West Haven all my life, affordable housing is not an issue there because we have a 14% affordable housing stock. But here in Milford, they were ever so close, but that little gap that kept them from reaching the 10% was also ever so far. And what it resulted in, as previous members of the delegation and the mayor have said, is predatory contractors or developers would take advantage of the law, would be able to circumvent the zoning regulations and be able to put up housing units that weren't in conformity with the city regulations. What this legislation does, it gives the town of City of Milford an opportunity to, through a 4-year moratorium and a possible 5-year moratorium on a renewal, to continue developing low-income housing or affordable housing, because that's certainly the goal of the city, is to provide enough affordable housing for residents who need it, but to be able to do it under the laws of conformity within the city's zoning regulations. With that said, I also want to echo my thanks to the previous people who came before me, because this has been a team effort, but it also has spanned over a number of sessions, and those that couldn't be with us today, former Senator Gail Schlossberg, former Representative Pam Stanesky, all had an effort in doing this, and it's just been an honor to work with this group and be able to accomplish something that we know the city of Milford really appreciates. Thank you very much.
At this point, I would like to invite forward Representative Kathy Kennedy.
Thank you, Mayor Blake. I think pretty much it's been said today. Today is a great day for the city of Milford. I, too, thank my colleagues, Senator Maroney, Representative Rose, and Representative Ferraro, and again, also our previous representative, Pam Stanesky, and State Senator Gail Schlossberg. But the biggest thanks to the mayor, and so many of our city agencies that worked very, very hard. It's a perfect example of how hard work will get us forward. Most importantly, it's a great win today for our city residents, who will maintain the beautiful charm of our city of Milford. So thank you all very much.
And I don't know if there's any questions, but I will thank you for your time. I thank you for being here. And we're available if there's any questions after as well. Thank you.